Oil and gas expert and chairman of Shoreline Natural Resource, Mr. Kola Karim, joins us now on the program from Saudi Arabia. Thanks for joining us. Russia appears to have made good its threat. Were you expecting it to get to this?
Thank you for having me. This is where the world is not expecting to find itself. This is now getting very serious, and it's a dangerous position to be in. Why? Because Bulgaria, 90% of Bulgaria's gas comes from Russia. We have 50% of Polish gas comes from Russia. And this is very substantial. But the biggest elephant that I see in the room is actually Germany. That's got 35% of its gas utilization coming from Russia. And this is the largest European economy in itself. So these are dangerous times, and we're in very uncharted territories. We should all be very worried, looking at where the world economy is going.
It's also interesting, we've heard the EU Commission President Ursula von der Leyen responding, saying that Russia's decision to halt supplies to those countries is an aggressive move, and, you know, the EU considers it as a sort of blackmail. But she also said that there will be the least possible impact on European consumers. But do you think there's perhaps a shock absorber, a sort of contingency plan that the EU would be taking in light of this?
I think everyone's bluffing. We're all pandering and utilization of soft and hard power. The functionality situation is this: the contractual obligation on Russia is in euros. By pulling that, the Europeans have put sanctions on Russian financial institutions, which means if I sell you gas as Russia, I can't get euros. So Russia has turned it on them by saying, listen, I now want payment from this certain date in rubles, which again will be flouting the sanction position put in place. So it's a very dicey position that we see in an uncharted territory that we and the global economy has never been before, because we are going to see economies stagnating right across Europe because of this, because energy is actually in the core of every production facility in an economy like Germany and these producing nations.
On a breach of agreement, which we've heard, unilateral breach from Bulgaria, is this one between Gazprom and the countries? I mean, at the end of this, do you see a breach in terms of, you know, litigation, seeing as the stand Russia has taken?
I'm sure in a contract and validity of contracts like this, there will be arbitration clauses and clauses for dealing with such disputes. But the problem is bigger than this. You cannot, when we're talking about gas supplies to nations, wait for dispute resolution clause to fall in place. You need the gas. Some of these countries are still going through very cold moments. Winter is still there, just sipping into the spring. So we're still talking consumption is still expected to be very high in a lot of these economies. So dispute resolution is not going to resolve it. I think people need to start being serious, sit around the table and discussing what is factual from what is fiction in this dispute between Ukraine and Russia and the European Union.
How much more role do you think the US can come in to sort of save the day? Because when Russia made this threat back then, it did say that it would you know, bring out some of its oil for some of these countries. The UK as well is also slightly affected by this, isn't it?
Look, you could hear from the German energy minister what he's just said. Germany is trying to wean itself by the PK refinery, one, to find a change of control so they stop consuming Russian oil. But the biggest problem for Germany is building infrastructure. Building an LNG terminal is not something you do in 3 to 6 months. So the problem is it's an immediate one, but the solution is a medium to longer term solution. So this is going to affect everyone across board, and people have to start sitting around the table, having really real frank discussions that will create a lasting solution that would help a lot of people. Look, a lot of economies that we see today in Europe is in a tailspin. The recession is real. What's going to happen? Because a lot of industrial growth in Germany, which is the largest European economy, is already stagnating, and we're going to negative territory soon if this threat continues the way it is. Look, One thing to look at coming out of all this is where countries in Africa like Nigeria should fall into play. We, as a nation, should start taking this very seriously, that investing into our gas reserves and exploitation of our gas reserves will be a very, very good and interesting position for the Nigerian economy going forward. Look at Algeria. Algeria today is supplying 8% of European gas consumption. Imagine Nigeria with 212 TCF of gas, being able to join that bandwagon.
Some would say that it would also take us many months to get to that point where we can supply and meet this gap.
There is no doubt. There is no doubt. Be rest assured. But one thing is, Rome was not built in a day, but you must start building Rome one day. Nigeria has an opportunity now in trying to fill up some of the gaps there. Even after the falling out between Russia and Ukraine, the Europeans have realized something. Russia using energy and energy security as a weapon of gas supply, restricting gas supply. Should this and would this happen again? No. So everyone is looking for alternate supply source, and Nigeria, looking at the proximity to Europe, is in a first call advantage in doing so.
Mr. Kola Karim, we appreciate your time. Thank you so much. Oil and gas expert, chairman, Shoreline Natural Resource. Thank you so much for joining us on the program.
Thank you.